actually the support that we get from the society, from the people around us. And when you don't get that, because people cannot understand how to support you, you feel very, very alone. And so my heart really goes to her, and thank God that over time, the human spirit, you know how we are, we develop resilience as we get the help that we need. But the process of grief that we go through when somebody dies is the same process a parent who is hit with information like that would have to go through, which is really.
Okay, we seem to be having a problem with Grace's connection, but we'll be crossing over to her in a moment. Even as we understand this condition, DMD, Father, and if we can have those graphics on the screen so that at least we can explain to those who are hearing about this condition for the first time. And we'll start off with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is what Manasseh lives with. Muscular dystrophies are a group of diseases that make muscles weaker and less flexible over time. Now, Duchenne muscular dystrophy is the most common type. Now, out of that, you might be wondering how or what causes this. The gene that makes a protein called dystrophin is normally broken in this case, and this protein keeps muscles strong and protects them from injury. Some of the symptoms, of course, these are different from one patient to another, but the most common are a curved spine, also called scoliosis, shortened tight muscles in their legs called contractures, headaches, problems with learning and memory, shortness of breath, sleepiness, trouble concentrating, and truth is, there is no cure for the condition, but treatment options are available to alleviate its symptoms. Now, George, we had Alice speak about the journey that has been bringing up Manasseh. Let's hear from you. When I talk about some of the symptoms and how you saw Manasseh's life start to change from the age of 7, what are these things that you saw and wondered what was going on?
Thank you very much. The first thing that we noted and personally became a problem is frequent falling. And he could hit his forehead, and every time he could swell. Before the healing takes place, the other day he has the same. So that was paining, and I felt there's something wrong with my son. And just like my wife said, we thought it was a vision problem, and that's why we took him to the hospital.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, at the hospital, as we heard, the doctor said, okay, this is bad news, but the truth of the matter is your child is living with a rare condition. As a father, what was your reaction at that point?
It was very bad, very discouraging. In fact, from Kijabe Hospital to Kikuyu, we did not even talk with my wife. We were 3 of us in the car. We kept quiet. A lot of problems going through my mind. I didn't know what to do. It was a challenge. It was not easy, I can say that. It was not easy. Until we came to confirm from Kikuyu Hospital, we met another doctor. He confirmed the same, which was said by the first doctor at Kijabe Hospital. Yes.
And now the reality dawned in.
Yes.
So as a father, what's going on in your mind at this point?
Well, a lot of things happened. Number one, it threw me out of balance. At some point, I was admitted in the hospital because of not accepting. It was not easy. But pole pole, I found myself accepting and moving on with life. Yeah, it was very discouraging.
Okay.
Yeah, because the steps that we were told, the first step of now tiptoeing, now going to a wheelchair, the other two, which are not very easy to accept. It was not easy for me as a parent. Yes.
All right. Now, Alice, you're the one who tells this story, and it looks like you're the stronger one of the two. But the truth of the matter is, you brought this child to the world. To see him have to go through this is very hurtful as a mother. What were you going through as you saw Manasseh move from point A to point B?
It wasn't easy. Seeing him the way he was, and the plans that you had as a mother for him, especially him being the last born, and him born 11 years late after the others. Of course, you had big plans. This is the boy I would raise the way I want him to be, to go to the best school, to have everything best for him, because actually he's the last born. And noticing him and realizing that he has a problem, I tell you, it was so devastating. The first 2 years of my life, I was in great denial. I could not accept. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I went into depression, and I didn't know I was in depression because I didn't want to see anybody. Even walking on the road and see you coming my way, I would rather take another route to avoid you. I'm a Christian. I didn't go to church for 6 months because God lost meaning in my life. And I was like, God, if you are really there, if you are really existing, why did this happen to me? So I didn't want to hear anything about God. When someone tells me God knows, and I would just ask him, which God? Which God are you talking about? A God that will put my son in this situation. So I didn't want to hear anything about God. I didn't want to hear anybody talking to me about my son, because I was like, I don't know, am I cursed or something? Such things. So it is not easy at all. I know, yeah.
Okay, I hear you and actually empathize, because as a parent, I can imagine that you want the best for your child. And again, as I said, pregnancy is a miracle. At this point, when you got this diagnosis, had you ever heard of this condition ever before?
Nope, not at all, not at all.
And never seen it in your family?
Never seen it in the family, never seen it in the community, never seen it anywhere.
Okay, now Grace, again, listening to them, you can hear both were experiencing the same thing, but differently. Now, how do you debunk that amongst a couple?
The first step of helping a couple that is going through such a situation is to help them understand that there is a deep feeling of loss. It's a grief and loss issue. And of course, now most people do not understand that that is what you are hit with, because you have lost something that is very, very important to you. And one of the things that we lose as parents, if we end up in a situation like that, we lose the confidence that we can protect our children. And immediately we are thrown into a space of helplessness. And when we get into helplessness, there will be anger. There will be quite a bit of anger towards yourself, towards others, and even towards God, as she has said. And you begin to question everything in life. And then there is also the internal feelings of you as a person. So there is quite a bit of feeling like you have failed. There is something wrong with you. You also feel that Mungu ananionea, there is a vendetta against me by the world, by God, and other things like that. And when you are, especially if the couple is not careful, that can break a home, because the man is feeling absolutely helpless, and men don't know how to deal with those feelings, because they don't talk as women do. And women will get together, they will look for support, they will talk, they will pray. But when a man is faced with a situation of grief and loss where they feel, and here I'm talking about loss of ability to protect your family, then they go into what he talked about, that you go into this imbalance and you don't even know how to gain back your balance. So the first thing that as a therapist I would do with a couple like them is to really help them understand what they are going through. Eventually, dealing with loss and grief so that you can adjust. And I like what Alice said, that it took her 2 years to be able to get over the denial. And I know from my work that that's what it takes you, about 2 years to really accept that your life changed, that something you lost something, because after the acceptance, that's when you can be able to adjust. What happens is that physically we do adjust and we start to do what we need to do to survive, but mentally, psychologically, emotionally, we are unable to adjust. And once the acceptance happens, we start to adjust. We start to feel it's okay. We can, and now a routine, even a mental and an emotional routine begins to take place, and you no longer feel the deep emotions. I usually say in Swahili ni emotions za kuonewa, nasikia nimeonewa, you know. And so you begin to accept and you begin to move into now advancing and seeing and looking now at what you can do to make your life more functional. But also with the functioning, there is a feeling of joy, and there is a feeling of vitality for your life. So it is true, Alice. It actually takes you about 2 years.
Okay, now let's hear from the other couple that is joining us. And this is the story of Baby Tuna. This morning on Your Voice, Brian Bushiri spent some time with Esther Masika and her husband, Edwin Kiptor, who are caregivers to their daughter Tunu, living with the rare condition of arthrogryposis, or AMC. Here's the story.
My name is Esther Masika. I'm a mother of one. Tunu is my daughter here. She's brought so much life and light into my life. I just thank God for life. She has a condition known as arthrogryposis, which basically affects her joint movement. And with that, it requires a lot of occupational therapy. She is doing about 3 to 4 sessions a week. Now, with the COVID that came by, it was so unwelcome, because now that meant we had to cut that off, because ideally it's a doctor who's coming from the hospital, and hospitals are where sick people are. So you sort of feel like you don't want to endanger your baby or the people living in that home. So that has been really tough on us. Also, where income is concerned, that has been really tough on us. Bringing up a baby with a condition and a birth defect on top has been really hard to maintain. You see, these are things that are not covered by insurance. It means out of pocket. And with COVID, it affected our business, which is the fitness, and we're in the fitness industry. So it was a financial burden. We lost our financial independence, I would say. Right from day one, she had to be casted. From casting, she had to move on to this shoe that she has to wear for 23 hours. From there, we had to do, we've done 2 surgeries so far. Sorry, not surgeries, but procedures on her leg that really have been nerve-wracking. So how we have managed to put a smile on her face, they don't understand how we've managed to do that. And we encourage them so much to take their kid out. We are all about social motivation. We don't hide Tunu in the house. We're always out.
With the club foot, it has a maximum of 5 years to rectify. But with the underlying condition, it's a lifetime thing. As time goes by, we see what we can do. But as for now, we can deal with the club foot. That takes like 5 years. But the underlying condition, to be honest, we can't give it a time. It's a lifetime thing.
Mine is to be a voice of change to all moms out there. So I recently launched an awareness campaign known as the Bold One Out, which is a movement of extraordinary moms raising little angels with extraordinary conditions for an extraordinary purpose. These children are a gift from God, one, and whatever purpose that's been put here on earth is to teach us who call ourselves normal that perhaps we are not so normal as we think. Tunu has her own abilities, so I need moms, and I want to encourage moms not to compare their children with quote-unquote normal children. It's about encouraging Tunu's abilities. It's about encouraging her participation. It's about counting her in everything that she does, as opposed to, mtoto wangu hafanyi, really dwelling on the condition of the child. I think there's a lot that can be done, especially on the detection part. Yes. Because you want us to be prepared. You want that mother to be offered psychosocial support, not a condition like mine where at birth is where all these big words are being thrown at me. And we advocate for policy. Policy, policy, policy. Why? Because policy creates the framework that is needed. So you'll find access to healthcare is expensive, and so you find the mom will sit back because, hey, are we going to buy unga, or are we going to use this money for fare to take her baby to? So we need to see how to lessen that burden on those moms. Diapers are expensive. Food is expensive, you know. So how is it that we can lessen that burden on the mothers? How can we encourage more fathers? This conversation needs to be held because many moms who have reached out to me are actually single-handedly raising their children. So where are the dads? Yeah, this is nobody's fault, right? But God uses these children for His purpose. Yeah, we are just custodians, and it's for her time. Shika, mama. What I would tell parents who are raising a child who's been born with a birth defect or a rare condition is it's okay to acknowledge, it's okay to grieve. Acknowledge your loss. Mourn the baby that you are expecting, because you did have ideas, you did have dreams of how you'll go on holidays and put on outfits and things like that with that child. So it's okay to acknowledge that that's not the child you were given. But at the same time, encourage yourself, right? Encourage yourself to get out there, to accept the situation. She's still a gift from God, and she's here with you, right? And you are the one who's been chosen to be that child's parent. Because if it was not you, then who is it that you would be like, I wish mtoto angepatiwa? Who is that person who you would say, I wish mtoto angepatiwa mto? Touch this one. Please seek help for the child as early as possible, because you'll find that some of these birth defects that children have been born with are correctable. Clubfoot, cleft lip, name them. Those are correctable disabilities. So you don't have to deny the child a normal life because you did not make the first move and a bold move to go to hospital just to find out whether the child's condition can be corrected.
The story of Esther and Edwin, even as they talk about Baby Tuna, who lives with isarthrogryposis, multiple congenita, abbreviated at AMC. Just to understand further what this condition is about, it's a term used to describe a variety of conditions involving multiple joint contractures or stiffness. And its causes, well, it's unknown, although it is thought to be related to inadequate room in the uterus during pregnancy and low amniotic fluid. The symptoms, again, vary from one child to another, but muscle contractures of joints commonly take place in the wrist, hand, elbow, shoulder, hips, knees, ankles, and there's also muscle weakness throughout the body and spine curvature. Just as a DMD, this condition has no cure, but treatment options are available to alleviate its symptoms. Let me bring in Esther and Edwin at this point and start off with you, Esther. You have such a big smile on your face speaking about the journey of Baby Tuna, but let's be real here. The moment you got the news that Baby Tuna was a special angel, what came over you?
Self-blame. You know, you wonder whether you did everything possible to ensure that your baby was safe. I felt that I perhaps did not educate myself much about my pregnancy journey. In my family, there's not been any history of children born with any condition, so I think it was an assumption on my part. And wow, so it was a real shocker. I was very disappointed. I wanted to blame the doctors. I wasn't sure, is there something that they had done to my baby during the birth? Mm-hmm. It was really bad. And when I woke up and the baby was not there, I assumed, okay, maybe because she came 2 weeks early, that there was something wrong with the baby. And then I just got to find out, you know, I passed her in NICU because she was unrecognizable, totally, with her hands behind her back. Then she had her feet facing her, you know, her chin. And I was like, what is this? What happened to the baby? And it was the first day I learned of a birth defect.
Okay.
And they just started talking surgery. And it was really confusing because I'm like, what surgery? For what? And they're very tough decisions that I had to make on the first day. And so this was very heart-wrenching.
Okay, so this is your experience. Let me hear from Edwin. Edwin, you've gone to hospital and baby Tunu is a special needs child. What's going on in your mind at that moment?
Thank you, Gladys. The first time I met Tunu after the delivery, it was so hard to understand. Tunu being my firstborn, when the doctor came, I remember the nurse called my name and said, "Who is the father of the child?" I went, I received the child. The first thing I noticed was her feet were not straight. So I asked the doctor what was happening. The doctor just smiled. Then he told me, "Your daughter has clubfoot." It was my first time to hear about clubfoot, and I didn't understand what was going on. Yeah, so it was around midnight. So we were told to come back in the morning so that the doctor will explain to us what's happening. Yeah, that's how it started.
All right, and as the doctor is explaining to you what Tunu is dealing with, what are you going through at this moment? Because at that point, I'm sure reality dawned on you.
Yeah, it did. It was my first time to hear about clubfoot, and when the doctor was saying that, I was not relating, so I was disappointed. That's not what I was expecting, but I had to accept.
Okay, and for you, Esther, how long did it take between now noticing about the clubfoot and now seeing other contractures in other parts of her body?
It was about 6 months later that we were referred to a pediatric orthopedic who, at first glance, just told us Tunu has isarthrogryposis. And the name was so long, he wrote it down. I remember Googling, making sure I don't miss one letter of the alphabet that he wrote down. And he explained to us that this is the underlying condition. So first things first, he's like, we need to do a scan and see whether her hips are in place, because it tends to be very problematic when the hips are out of place. But we thank God that she was well, and we walked the journey. He's walked the journey with us all the way up until we went to a specialist clinic, where now, Gladys, they told us, I know you've done so much with her feet, but she's not doing well. We have to begin this process all over again. And we began treating her clubfoot all over again. That meant 6 weeks of casting, doing another tenotomy, putting her into the bar and brace for another, 3 months for 23 hours. And now we've just recently graduated to 12 hours. So it's really sad that it has taken us 9 months almost to get the correct treatment for Tunu. And you beg to wonder, isn't there a standardized way of treating clubfoot? How is it that the doctors were just okaying the process all along? When now we get to the specialist clinic, they're like, no, sorry, but we have to begin this again.
Okay.
So the expenses, the trauma of going through it all over again. Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that journey in a moment. Grace, let me bring you into this. These two couples are bringing up special needs children, and they have different conditions, and they experienced the reality of this differently. One couple 7 years into raising a child, this couple right after birth. When you listen to Edwin and Esther, are you surprised that these were the reactions that they were facing when they found out their child was special?
No, I am not surprised at all, because that is, and it feels hard to say that's the normal way that as human beings we will experience these kinds of occurrences in our lives. And so the process of grief, and you're grieving, but you see, because we associate grief only with death, then you don't know that it's okay for you to go through whatever you are going through. And people around you, they don't know. When people die, we know how to come and mourn with you and say pole and all that. We know how to do the mashakaya. You know, we know how to walk with you through that grief. But when you have a situation like this, we do not know how to help you go through the process. So nobody is understanding that you're grieving, you are mourning, and neither are you aware that that is what is going on. You just know you have feelings that are very uncomfortable, and you feel absolutely out of balance, and you feel like you're going crazy. And you wake up and you think you are in a dream, and you hope that you will pinch yourself and the dream will be gone. So there are these emotions that we are experiencing, plus other emotions that we don't know, that sometimes you go through numbness. You're just going through the day like a zombie because you don't understand what it is. And then there is also the issue of people are not going to allow you, and there is the word, the phrase that we use for this kind of grief, that disenfranchised grief, because it's the grief that is stigmatized, that the society does not see as a source of grief. And they don't know how, and because they don't know how to deal with it, then they don't embrace it with you. And so you can imagine now, even when you go to the doctor, like we are hearing, you go to the doctors and they kind of are nonchalant about it. They are not giving you the understanding that they can relate or they can empathize with how deeply you are hurting. And you have so many questions. What was it that I didn't do right? Was it something that I could? And you feel like you have brought your child, you have actually failed your child because you are the parent, and this is a very innocent human being. And so there are so many emotions that are going. There are so many questions that we have that have no answers. But like we are hearing, once you begin to find that there are ways that you manage and deal with the situation itself, then you begin to feel a little bit more at peace, and you begin now to put together a plan. But definitely you go through those feelings of absolutely, I don't know what to do, and that is the big word, helplessness, which can lead now to hopelessness. And now the issues of depression can kick in, plus anxiety, the fear of the unknown. And so living a day at a time. And I loved to hear as both parents are talking about focusing on what now can be done rather than what cannot be done, what we have lost. And we move now from the victim space, where we are just talking about the suffering story, but we are now looking at the survival story, the surviving story. What is it that we are going to do now in order to look at this child the way they are, we accept their condition and walk with them?
Okay, and we'll get to the survival stories in a moment. Remember, our question of the day is, do you know someone, or are you bringing up a special needs child? What are the challenges you face? That hashtag is new normal on our social media handles. And yes, you are talking to us. If you can have that feedback, we have Sophia Bashir, who says, I'm raising a special need child, and I know many mothers who are in these shoes. We face challenges, but we learn to call them reality because this is who we are. Stress, denial, finances, heartbreak, fear, stigma, not to mention the many challenges that we face. This is us, the special needs society. Thank you, Sophia, for sharing. Millie Weke says, I teach yoga for the special child, and sometimes it's easy with lots of fun and joy, but mostly it's sad, especially when they're sick, on their periods for teenage girls, and they don't have someone to help them. For those who cannot communicate when they are sad, makes me feel even more sad, especially kids with autism or cerebral palsy. In general, it has its ups and downs. Millie, we celebrate you for the work you do in helping those living with special needs. needs. Rose Angira says, I'm a special needs parent raising a handsome boy with severe cerebral palsy, just to mention a few challenges. First, this journey is financially draining. Everything around a special needs child is very expensive. The assistive devices, the medication, the diapers, the care, etc. Rose continues to say, the second challenge, emotional challenges for us parents raising our angels in this judgmental society that still sees disability as a curse or sins of the parents. The third challenge is mental challenges. This one is deep. We need counseling centers for parents of children with disability. Diagnosis, is served with no prior counseling. Rose, we hear you, and you continue to say, and for the rest of our lives, we work hard to figure out what the diagnosis meant. And the fourth challenge is stigma and discrimination. We lose friends and family. Most special needs parents have no friends. People judge and see your child as a burden. Bure kabisa. Lack of disability and awareness, or lack of disability awareness, is another challenge. We need more of this. There are many. Let me leave it there for now. Rose Angira, thank you for being so candid about your journey. Zoltan Farah says, I have one here in Mariakani who is mentally challenged but loves me so much to a level of following me up to my workplace. The young man hates noise. Zoltan, thank you for sharing. And the last one for now, Blixen Koi says, first, stigma from community. Secondly, very expensive medical services, especially epilepsy daily tablets. Thank you for Koi for sharing your journey with us, and keep them coming. That hashtag is new normal, and you can also reach us using those numbers at the bottom of your screen. Now, we'll quickly take a short break here on Your World. When we come back, as Grace is putting it, we'll be looking at the survival stories of these parents. Yes, there are challenges, but what have they had to adopt to actually ensure that they cater for their children, but also keep their heads above water? We'll be right back.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex.
Protex. Good health starts here.
NTV Jioni, habari za kina, fasaha, tendeti na za kuaminika.
Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This morning we're talking about parenting special needs children, and we have Diana, or rather Alice and Georgia Likimani, who are caregivers to Manasseh, who is an 11-year-old boy who lives with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, abbreviated as DMD. We're also joined from the comfort of their home by Esther and Edwin, who are caregivers to Baby Tuna, a girl who has isarthrogryposis multiplex congenita, which is actually abbreviated as AMC. And of course, helping us with this conversation this morning is Gladys Gachanja, who is a psychologist. Thank you all for joining us on the same. Now, before we went to break, Grace mentioned that you go through the denial phase, you go through the mixed emotions after you find out that your child is living with special needs. Then it gets to a point where you now come to accept and now start walking the journey with him. For you, Alice, what helped you along?
Okay, when my son was going for physiotherapy, he met a certain friend, and they were really happy together because they were suffering the same condition anyway. So they became friends. And then the other friend stopped going for physiotherapy. So Manasseh was actually disturbed. Mom, my friend is not, didn't come today. The following week the same. So he kept on asking me about his friend. So I had to go and look for this friend. So we went to, with the father, we had to ask someone where we could find that friend. And we were told where they were. And we were taken. We visited the family to find out why they were not coming for physiotherapy. So we found a lady with 2 boys having the same condition as Manasseh.
Both boys?
Yes.
Wow.
The firstborn and the secondborn. And now the lady was not able to come because the boys were now heavy. She could not carry them. And then it was expensive for her now to carry the children for physio. She could not afford. So that is when I started my healing process after looking at the lady. The husband abandoned her. And now she's with 2 children having DMD. And my healing process started. When I just looked at her and you are still alive, you are having 2 boys, and you are strong, then I must be strong.
Nitabeba
msalaba wangu. Because now you are managing 2 children in a single room. In a single room. So my healing process started, and we also started to support the family because the lady could not even afford food. So since then, we've been supporting the family. We've been visiting the family every month with support, to support the family, pay their family rent, and also food. So I healed after looking at her and after offering my support. So I realized that I'm not alone. So my case is not even worse. There are other people who are in a worse situation than mine. So I have no reason to remain down. I need to stand. I need to walk. I need to move on. And I moved on.
And there is strength in numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, George, we've heard from other caregivers who say this journey is a very expensive affair. So you've accepted Manasseh is different. He needs special care, but all this comes with a price tag. As a man, an expected provider of this family, it just got heavier on you. So how did you have to switch gears?
Number one, I got family support. Because the first thing we did after realizing that our child had a problem, we talked about it. We did not hide ourselves. We talked about it. We told people what it was. And our immediate family came on board. They really helped us. Our good friends also came on board. Our church, we are Christians, came on board. We got very, very, very many supports. Maybe many people are calling, maybe people are visiting to encourage us. We were not judged harshly, and we felt accepted by the society. And the other thing was joining a support group. When we started we were taking our child for physiotherapy. That's when we met other families with children with disability, some very severe. And so from that, when you realize that there are some people facing the same challenges that we were facing, even some worse, that's how my journey of healing started. Yes.
Okay, you mentioned that you were judged, you're not judged harshly,
yes.
But I'm sure there were people who were looking and wondering, what happened?
Yes.
Did you ever deal with that?
Yes, yes. Some of them were trying to inquire whether there is that history in our family, whether there's something that had, I don't know what was happening, but that did not distract me from moving on. Yeah, it was not very conspicuous.
Okay.
Pengine kwa chini ya maji. Yes.
And for you, Alice?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I remember a certain, I don't know whether it was true, but a certain friend, when I got this problem, maybe she said that maybe this family is trying to sacrifice their son so that they can be wealthy or so. So having, hearing such from a close friend, you feel, what? So I was really discouraged.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Wow. Okay, Edwin and Esther, what was your experience now that you were told AMC is a condition you have to face for the rest of Tunu's life? How was life after that?
Of course, initially it was really difficult to understand why this was happening to my child. But I'm a believer, and I believe God does things for good reasons. And because of that, I was like, God is going to use my child to encourage others in this world that he's still in the business of healing and that he loves all people. And I believe what made it very easy for me to sort of encourage myself was Tunu's smile. And my family has been very supportive as well. So, and my husband as well has been very supportive in this whole journey. So we just got ourselves together and started appreciating her for who she is and loving her for the abilities that she has. We did not dwell again on the condition so much.
Okay, so for you, Edwin, I mean, the ladies have a way of healing by speaking and communing with other women. Wanaume, it becomes a little bit difficult expressing your feelings and the challenges you're going through. How was it for you adjusting with the new reality?
At first, it was so hard, but as time was going, it became easy because I used to speak with my friends. I have a number of friends who were very supportive, and it became easy with the support of my friends, family, and my immediate family, my wife. In Tunu, it became so easy. Yeah. But it's been hard. It's I know it's been hard since the first day. It's not going to be easy anytime, but we're learning how to survive. You know, when Tunu smiles, it gives us the motivation to keep going.
Yes, yeah. And she has a beautiful smile. Esther, tell me about the finances, because this is a very, very expensive affair.
Wow, yeah, it's super expensive. You know, as a first-time mother, you, of course, look for the best hospital, the best doctor, and that's exactly what we did. And I knew 3 days I'll be out of hospital, but that was not to be because there's this stage here called NICU that I was not expecting that I'd have to go through that. Now, you're finding that you, just to pay for a bed each day, the bed alone is 8,000 shillings. You've not even started with the doctors who come and check on the heartbeat. The castings are being changed. The pediatrician is coming. The orthopedic pediatrician is coming. The physiotherapist is coming. Gladys, it was very heavy financially. If it was not for the support of friends and family, I don't know how we would have managed to do this. But just to encourage other mothers out there, there are specialist clinics, mission hospitals, which equally offer good services. Some of them are free. Like now where we're taking her right now to Cure Kenya, we don't pay for her procedures. We only pay a minimal fee to see the doctor. and everything else is catered for by the hospital. So I encourage you to get out there. You'll be surprised that there are hospitals who absorb that cost for the mothers and the caregivers.
Okay, now Grace, we've had from both parents, and clearly the journey is a tough one, but they've braved it. As you were saying, they now are in the survival phase and they've found a way to walk with their special needs children. Now, it has been mentioned even from all viewers that the challenges, especially when it comes to stigma from the society around you, and of course, financial support is a burden that many have to face. How do you cope with this? And yet you're supposed to cater for this child, love them for who they are, but the pressure is real.
Right. And that is the other part of the multiple facets of loss in a situation like this. And I hope, Gladys, you guys can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the loss of financial freedom, as one of the parents identified, is a huge one, because now you have expenses you are not expecting. And then there is also the fact that, the medical care for your child is not readily available. So you can imagine parents are having to go through their own process of grief. They don't know the emotional part of it, plus the practical part of it. How do I get this help? They don't even know where to start. And not to mention the fact that there is that financial burden that has suddenly come onto them, and all of us can actually relate to them a little bit if we remember March 20th on last year, 2020, when we had to be thrown into this space of the unknown, not having certainty about what tomorrow will hold. So again, with the support that these families need, because these are realities of their lives, is to find a group of people who will empathize with their situation. They will have compassion. They will not try to explain away the reasons why they have because as human beings, we always want to answer the question why. But many times there are situations that have no answers. And what we need right now is not to try to explain to them the possibilities of why they are going through what they are going through. We need to be there. We need to be able to say, how can I help you now? What are the needs that you guys have right now? And I have actually been impressed by individuals who, after a family goes through a crisis, they come in and kazi yao, they are sitting in the house and washing dishes and watching them, and they are not saying much, but they are offering that moral support that I'm here with you. Because as human beings, like I forget his name, but Alice's husband said that support, that social support, is what actually begins the process of healing. And there is also something else that our sister said, Alice. She said, when I saw someone else who had it harder than I do, that immediately her heart was strengthened. And then there was something else that both parents have talked about, is actually looking to make this, to give meaning to what you're going through by creating help for others, not just focusing on what I have lost, oh poor me, and looking for opportunities where the loss can have meaning. Now, the thing is that we all use this phrase that everything happens for a reason, and I know that can have all kinds of connotations. But what normally happens, once you have gotten to the acceptance, you have started the adjustment, the advancing in your life now is looking to create meaning out of this crisis. And that is where the survival story begins. And I am I am really impressed, and I applaud both couples for what they have decided to do with the reality that they live with. They are supporting others, they are creating awareness, and they are even helping others who are in the same position, but they do not have the kind of support they themselves have found. And so this financial issue, I pray and hope that as we continue on, there will be legislation or something that that is bigger, that can be able to provide for the needs of parents who are raising special needs children.
Very well said, Grace. And just to reference back to Rose's contribution earlier on, and one of her challenges, she said, was a mental challenge, which she says runs really, really deep. And let me make reference to one of my friends, and she also has 2 children with rare diseases, and she says the sheer stress of not having the parenting dream I envisioned is traumatic, but society expects me to be strong because of my kids. I hate being strong. I'm also human. This is from Christine Mutena, and most of you know she is a founder and one of the members of Rare Disease Kenya. And Alice, as a mother, I'm sure, and as a parent, you relate with her. And the question here is, you said you faced depression at some point. Yes, today you're coping, but every day is a challenge. Who and how do you make sure you cater for your mental wellness?
Oh, I just try my own way, because I've never seen a counselor. I've never seen one, but in my own way. Sometimes I have a friend who likes telling me, you need to call a meeting with yourself, and then ujiteka mkutano, and then ujiongeleshe. So that is the point. I mean, I usually talk to myself and encourage myself, and then I usually tell myself I must be strong for my boy, because sometimes he's down, he's weak. He asks some questions. Mom, when am I going to walk? Mom, why did this happen to me? Mom, why? So if I'm not strong enough, these questions of why is this happening to me, Mom, then they're going to weigh me down. So I have to make myself very strong to encourage him.
Okay. Yeah. Now, on the days where you run out of the strength, and it's normal to run out of the strength. For example, in the story you said during the pandemic, he actually contemplated dying by suicide.
Yeah.
Who stood with you? Who stands with you?
I just myself. Sometimes I get myself into my room. Most of the time he's not at home. He works. Yes. So I lock myself in my room after such experiences. I cry, I pray, and then I come out strong. So sometimes I don't like sharing these bad experiences with him, because I don't want to put him down. So most of the things I don't share with him, these bad experiences, because I know him. He loves the boy so much. So such experiences I don't like sharing. So I just swallow most of the things and start and encourage myself. But after some time, I would tell him, you know, this is what happened. Manasseh tried to do this. He said that and that. Yeah.
George, who takes care of you?
Well, myself, and I have friends. I talk about my son because I love him so much. The other thing is accepting the reality. And I know this boy is a blessing from God, given to me freely by God. I know our God is able to heal him. And if it is his will that he remains the same, let the perfect will of God be done. So by accepting that, I am able to move on. Yes.
As I mentioned earlier to Edwin, is that men have a hard time talking about it. But you say you'd speak to your friends. So the days where you're feeling you are at your weakest, who stands with you?
Rarely do I talk with people when I'm down. Sometimes I isolate myself, go do some prayer, or even do something else, so that I dismiss what is coming through my system. But basically, for counseling, rarely do I go for it.
Have you ever gone for counseling?
No, I've never gone.
So just like Alice, both of you have never
Yes.
thought of doing counseling?
At first, we were in denial.
Okay,
All
all right.
We thought we were very strong.
Okay, and you still believe you are?
But at the moment, we are strong now.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're in a
strong.
better place.
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm able to encourage someone in my position. Yeah.
All right.
But personally, I know I'm weak. Yeah, anything that touches my son is not a good thing.
So what Alice is saying, kila mtu anajua mtu yake.
Kabisa, niko hivyo.
She knows you.
Yes, I'm very weak.
All right, let me hear from Edwin and Esther. Who stands with you, Esther, at your weakest?
I would say Edwin does, number one, and immediate family. Also, I have a fellowship group. We call ourselves the Pillars of the Palace. And they have held me since day one. They've been my day one, and they continue to encourage me. They continue to walk this journey with me. And I also did, just to also see whether I've dealt very well with my situation, I did a caregiver education course, and that has put a lot into perspective. There's so many letters I have written that I didn't know I had I'd pushed a lot of things down as well. I'd really suppressed a lot of emotions. So it has helped that I journal a lot.
All right.
Yeah, so that has helped me. Generally, I'm a positivist. So that has also been, my attitude has always been positive. So yeah, that has helped a lot with this situation.
Okay, have you ever sought counseling?
I did, but then after I did the caregiver education course, not so much now.
All right, let's hear from Edwin. Who stands with you?
Number one, it's Esther. Then secondly, my family members. Then my friends. The other thing I also do is when I have stress, I hit the gym. I do exercises frequently to help me release the stress. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my stress reliever.
Okay, that's a good way of actually helping out with the stress. Now, I need you to be very honest with me, Edwin. When things are thick and you're going through such a tough time, do you save or shelter Esther from it?
Come up again.
Do you ever keep away some of those thoughts that are too much for you to handle from Esther sometimes, just to protect her?
Yes, I do.
And why?
Sometimes I feel it's too much to share with her. Then I take a step back and try and solve it the best way I can without involving her.
And have you ever sought counseling?
Yeah. No.
All right. It's interesting that both couples have never sought counseling. You have quite a challenge on your laps, but today you say you're better for it. Grace, is this a good sign?
Absolutely. Because one of the good things about our African context is that we have a lot of community support. Our families are there, so we are not alone. And so even as we face the people that we face, who will cause us to feel guilt and doubt about our emotions, we are still able to have quite a number of people that are there for us, that walk with us. The family structure, the extended family structure, plus the fact that we are people of faith. Faith is such an important part of human resilience. You've got to have an anchor, a spiritual anchor, because when your mental wellness is at stake, when your physical wellness is at stake, your spiritual wellness can really carry you through the hardest parts of your life. And so when I hear that both of them are saying, they are talking about friends, and especially Alice, when she talks about, I know how to take care of myself. That's the thing, is that sometimes the reason why a person will seek personal counseling or grief counseling is because they are dysfunctional. They are unable to function. And somebody in the family will say, no, you need to talk to someone, because they are not leaving the house, they are not eating, they are not taking care of their physical body, they are not even able to take care of that child that they have who needs them. When people recognize that, then they say, let's go talk to someone who can be able to help you through that. So at that point, you do need to be to just give yourself courage to talk to someone. Most of the times, why we do not seek professional counseling is not because we don't want to. Sometimes it's because we don't know how. And we don't think, we are thinking, what will the counselor tell me? That because we think of counseling as advice giving, when really counseling is more of you working with an expert who would help you to process through the questions you have. In the process of grief, we have the stage of bargaining. The stage of bargaining can be very devastating, because you keep going back to the past. You keep asking the question, why? If only I had. Why didn't the doctors do? We keep going back to the past. And that is the place, if you get stuck there, that's when you need to seek an expert in grief counseling and say to them, would you help me sort through these questions that I'm unable to let go of? Because it keeps taking me there. And what happens with the why question, it triggers emotions of anxiety, the fear of the unknown, the fear that I won't be able to manage the future. Something bad is going to happen. And then it becomes a personal label that I am a failure, I am not able. And so you want to process that so that you can move your brain or your mind or your thoughts from that feeling of helplessness into a space where now each one of them is, where they are saying, I have the challenges, but I feel that I do have the ability to manage them. I like what Ali said, that she cries, she closes her room and she goes in there and cries and prays. And I'm glad, Alice, to hear that. Maybe we will hear that another day. How did you reconcile the God issue? Because in the beginning, there was a lot of anger towards God. And who is this God? And then now you are telling us, I go into my room, I pray, and I feel better, and I come out, and then I continue on with my life. So it's really great to hear that the human resilience, all of us, when you come to a counselor is going to help you and kind of unleash the strength within you, because you have it. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, and then and it's okay. It's a good thing that we are able to have that strength. But then the other thing we need to know is when you need to talk to someone, when you need some help from outside, that it is okay to seek for it. And I like the text you read about allow me to be weak. And so we need to also allow people to be weak. It's okay for me as a mom of a child living with disability to be able to call one of my closest friends and say, I need 2 hours to just go to the spa. Would you come and sit with my daughter for a while? It's okay. There is nothing wrong with that.
Okay, and before we take a break, I'd like to understand, Alice, when did you reconcile the issue with God?
Okay, before I say that, I also would like to say the reason why I don't like sharing so much with the family members is that I don't want to be pitied. Because once you share your experiences, yes, they're your brothers, your sisters, your parents, they will start pitying you. And that is the bit that I don't want. Because now you're burdening them. They're taking your burden and they're starting to pity you. This is what our sister is going through. This is what our brother is going through every day. So you just want to be strong so that they may also see that you are strong. But deep in you, there is something. You don't want to be a burden to them, because it's actually a burden. If you share every issue that you are going through, you are burdening others.
So how did you reconcile with God?
I don't know. After realizing that so many people are going through challenges, then I was like, yes, God cannot be so unfair to all of these people. So because in the first time I thought it was only me. But now after realizing that globally people are going through challenges, and then I ask myself, is this God unfair to all these people? And I'm like, no. There has to be a reason why it happened. And so many people come and tell you, there is a reason, there is a reason. You try to find out this reason. I'm still looking for this reason. And I'm still waiting to see the reason why it has happened. So I'm hoping to see, why did this come to me? And I read somewhere that you will never be healed until you use your problem to heal somebody else. So I'm using what I'm going through to heal someone. So after using this to heal also others who are going through challenges, I find myself healing. I find myself accepting. I find myself telling God, if this is your will, God, I accept.
We shall take a break at that point, and I hope you feel encouraged, and we'll be right back after this short break.
May I?
I'm not your maid. Kama unataka kahawa, fix it yourself.
You're acting crazy.
Unajua wanaume wangapi huko nje, they died to have 1 second with me. Yet you're here cheating on me.
Perhaps we need a break.
Ati? Ujue hiyo mdomo yako ninaweza ingoa. YouTube uko nje kuliwa na dogi.
Kuna mse fulani amedidi pale juu, landlord amepatikana.
Holmi inaenda jela sasa.
Hakuna kitu watajua unless ujipeleke.
Mimi ndo nilimuua.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
The Kenya Film Commission presents the Kalasha International Film and TV Market Virtual Edition. Catch everything live on the 5th to the 7th of May from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sponsored by Safaricom.
What do you think about Molfix?
Actually, another brand was recommended to me, but it had a leakage problem. Then I decided to try Molfix. His clothes don't get wet anymore.
Because Molfix provides extra protection against leakage thanks to its anti-leakage elastic barriers. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Make is the bribes.
Get 500 MB free kila siku and never miss a moment.
Salad vegetable cooking oil is the clear flowing secret to tasty meals. Buy 5 liters of salad vegetable cooking oil today and get 250 grams Zesta tomato sauce for free. Iflo kama salad. Salad vegetable cooking oil. Available in all cooking outlets countrywide.
Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and getting great feedback from you even as you share your challenges of bringing up special needs children. I still have the couples with us. We have Edwin and Esther at the comfort of their home here in Nairobi. We have Alice and George who are with us in studio, and of course Grace, who is also joining us from the comfort of her home. Now, before we get back to the conversation, remember hashtag New Normal is how you can continue to share with us. We have Rhoda Bahati who says, Mary Mutuva, thanks a lot dear for tagging me. I'm a mom raising a boy who's 7 years and 3 months today, taking care of cerebral palsy kids. It's not easy. It requires God's intervention and the grace to keep you moving. Raising these kids is so expensive. The diet, medication, diapers, and the therapy, they drain us a lot. And she continues to say, some days I'm good and sometimes I can't tell what's on my mind. The biggest challenge is when the boy is sick. He can't tell you what's ailing him, but God has given me the grace to take care of him and to love him more. Ni safari ndefu kweli, japo najua tutafika tu. To my fellow parents out there, just come out and share your story. Don't hide. Our kids are so special to us, even our God in heaven so in us. And she continues to say, we are capable of taking care of our cerebral palsy chums. Before I conclude, I know getting a job for most of us parents with cerebral palsy kids isn't that easy, because getting someone trustworthy, sio rahisi. Our kids need us fully. The biggest challenge I face is moving from one place to another. The boy is so grown, carrying him becomes a challenge, but ipo siku. Rhoda, amen to that, and thank you for sharing with us. Paul Ndirangu says, yes, the guy is now 25 years old, but the mother has to feed, bathe, and change the diaper. She has to put her life on hold for the boy. Paul, we hear you. Ike Jr. says, Gladys, thanks for the topic. I'm a single father with 2 children with special needs. It's been a journey. Nobody understands what you're going through or will to support you. It's an expensive management from home to school, but the only thing I do is give them love and care. Thank you, Ike, for sharing with us. Raymond Mutahi says, hapa Kenya wengi wazazi bado wanaficha watoto wao nyumbani, so to know or find them is much harder. Kwa jiji langu kuna mmoja wao, lakini ukipita tu karibu na kwao, mamake anafunga nyumba na kukuuliza maswali ya polisi, ndio hapo unatoroka juu ya matusi. Raymond, we hear you loud and clear. And the last one here for now, Beatrice Cheropu says, my son Marcus, 9 years old, has a CP. At his age, he is totally dependent on my support. He can't stand, walk, talk, and eat on his own. This is a big challenge with a big financial burden. Beatrice, thank you for sharing. And remember, that is your, you can actually reach us using that hashtag, Your New Normal. And we appreciate you being so candid about your journey. Now, before we went to break, Alice was talking about how she copes, or how she has found to cope with this whole situation by giving to others. And Esther, this is something that you have found to also work for you, and that's why you put together an initiative, Bold One Out. Tell us about it and how it goes to cater for other parents in your shoes.
All right, so when I decided to boldly come out with my story and advocate for congenital anomalies, prevention, detection, and early treatment, it's because I'm trying to reach, one, to the mothers-to-be, that there are actually steps you can take to minimize the risk of giving birth to a child with a birth defect. Only that education is lacking in Kenya, but I want to take a strong lead in that to lessen the burden on child disabilities in Kenya. The second person I'm trying to reach out to is the caregivers, the existing caregivers, now those who are in my shoes, that there are certain places you can go to receive treatment for your child. There's also, I'm advocating for early treatment. Things like clubfoot, you know, when gotten early, then it's more a manipulation that would be required on the child as opposed to surgeries, which is way more expensive in the future. So you also want to give this child, especially those living with correctable disabilities, to receive the help that they need, and they'll just be fine. I mean, Tunu is doing so well, and she's encouraged me that those I meet in hospital who are 3-4 months, and they're already done with their clubfoot treatment. Now, you don't have to do it at 9 months like we did with Tunu. So I'm trying to also lessen the financial burden of trying to doing some of these things twice, thrice, because of not having the right doctor or not knowing where to go. So it's been a blessing. I have so many moms on the group who've reached out, and many are very encouraged by when they see me and see the baby and how she's progressing on her page. And yeah, so I'd just like to reach out to every mom that your child has a purpose, and we are here to help you walk this journey. Yeah.
Okay, now Edwin is sitting next to you, and he said you're not only his #1 supporter, but you also said he is your #1 supporter. And Alice had also mentioned that the family, the woman they support, was actually left by her husband with 2 special needs children. And the truth of the matter is, most caregiver groups are made up of single mothers. But today we have 2 couples who are walking this journey together. Edwin, why have you purposely decided to stand with your family?
Number one, they are my immediate family. Being Tunu's biological father, I had to stand for them. I had to do what any other father can do for their child. You know, to me, Tunu is a normal child, you know. And being a father, a father is supposed to love all his kids equally. So in Tunu being my child, I have to stand for them. And I encourage any other father outside there, you guys should stand up for your families. And those guys who are standing up for their families, I really want to congratulate you guys and keep it up. You know.
Well said. Let me pass on the same baton to you, George. You're here next to Alice. Not many women can actually say they have the support that you give your wife. Why?
Yeah, one thing I know is that family is the greatest wealth that I can ever have in this world. And so I invest mostly in my family. And now, having a child with disability, he was given to us by God. And that's why I give it all to him and to my family. I would also encourage other men outside there not to run away from their responsibilities. Even when there are challenges in life, let us learn to carry the burden together. And where we are supposed to be involved physically, mentally, financially, and in all other areas, we need to support our families and stand with them. It is not a shame to do some duties in the family when you are doing it for the benefit of your family, especially for your own children. It is very good. Yes.
All right. And Alice, you wanted to endorse that message.
Yes. I really want to thank my husband. When we experienced this problem, he didn't run away, not even a single day. He didn't blame me, not even a single day. And I really thank him for that. Not even a single day did he mention that or shown any sign that maybe it is because of you that we are in this. Not even a single day. And I want to thank you so much. Secondly, he really supported us especially when we take him for physiotherapy. The boy is heavy. I can't carry him. So from day one, he's the one going for physiotherapy and finds himself amongst women and is still comfortable. He has never complained. So I thank you so much. God bless you.
All right. Yeah. That is so encouraging to hear, Grace, because as I said earlier, that most caregivers end up being single mothers. But today it has been affirmed that couples can stay together despite this challenge that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. How would you encourage couples to cope with such extremities?
I salute these couples and I celebrate you both for showing the world that this can be done together. When you think about, Gladys, when you think about the vows we make when we get married, we say for better, for worse, for health. And this is an example of that we come together and we say, this is our challenge. This is not one person's problem. As men, men may find that instinct to just nurture. When we see a problem, we want to fix it, and we don't shy away from reaching out to find solutions for things. Even when we don't have it, we know how to embrace and we know how to comfort. And sometimes our men are unable to do that because men are problem. They are fixers. They want that I just have to be here and figure it out with you. It might be a challenge for them, but I really acknowledge the men who have decided to work together with their wives to be. George has said that you look at it and you do not see it as a shame issue. There is no shame in having a child who is living with physical disability. There is absolutely nothing wrong you did. It is not the parents' fault, no matter how much the society wants to find a reason to blame one of them for what has happened. What we want to do, like to cope, what we cannot do. There is the prayer, that the serenity prayer, to know the places where I have control and the places where I don't, and know the difference, and really focus more on what I am able to do. And I want to say this:
Oh dear, we seem to have lost Grace momentarily, but we'll get back to her in a moment. I understand we have a caller on the line, Dorothy from Eldoret. Dorothy, what's your question or comment?
Okay, my name is Dorothy from Eldoret.
Yes.
Gladys, thank you so much for this topic. It's really interesting.
Karibu sana.
So I also have a child living with cerebral palsy, and he's 4 years old. And I can really say it's tough, especially when you're a single mom. It's tough, like you can't work, and at the same time you need to feed your child, and I also have another child, so it's really hard. You have to take care of both kids. You have to look for a job. You cannot find a DM, someone who can take care of him. So you have to stay home and take care of him. There's also the medication. You have to buy them because he has seizures most of the time.
Yeah.
So you have to stay alert every time. So it's really tough, but I thank God because my family, my mom, they're very supportive, and it's really encouraging.
Okay, I think we can hear them in the background. Thank you for sharing your story, and we wish you well.
And I also want to encourage other special moms that they can do it. They just need to be strong for their kids most of the time. So never to give up. Let's work together as special moms because God gave us special kids because He knows that we can handle this. So all the single moms, especially those who have special kids, God can take care of us.
Amen to that. Thank you for reaching out to us, and all the best. Now, even as we bring this conversation to a close, I'll start off with you, Alice, and you've encouraged many. Many are saying kudos to you and George for what you're doing, even on behalf of the single mother who has 2 special needs children. What would be your words of advice for those who wear the same shoes as you do?
Okay, first of all, I would like to encourage someone out there that if God does not fix your problem, then he will use your problem to fix you and to fix others. So, the earlier you accept it, the better, and accept God to fix you and to fix others using your problem. Lastly, I would like to say that the greatest disability in life is a bad attitude. Change your attitude and you'll move on, because there are people out there who are not physically challenged, but because of their attitudes, they are challenged. So have a positive attitude and you'll be okay. You may not be physically challenged, but mentally you could be challenged because of your attitude. So I'm encouraging you to change your attitude and life will change.
Okay. Now, George, you had a challenge to the healthcare system.
Did I get you correctly?
Yeah, you had a challenge to the healthcare system in as far as supporting those that cater for special needs children.
Yes, yes. I think, bearing in mind that the issue of disability is very expensive at some point, I would maybe encourage the government or whoever is concerned with the policy issue, as much as they take care of the elderly and the vulnerable people, I think they should put more emphasis or more effort with the issue of disability, because people are suffering. Some people cannot even go to work, and they need money to take care of their children. I think we need to take care of that.
Okay, and
else, please. Okay, I also have an appeal to the Ministry of Education concerning the schools. Most of the government schools are not accessible with a wheelchair. So you find that most of the children are left at home because they cannot access the school compound. So if there could be a policy whereby all the schools should be made accessible, it will really help those children who are using wheelchairs. Yeah.
Very well said. And over to you, Esther and Edwin, your last words of advice to those that are watching you this morning. I'll start off with you, Esther.
All right. Okay. So just to back up what has already been said, we need clear policy which will influence the framework. I think we have a lack of newborn screening in Kenya, because how is it that for 9 months birth defects go undetected? Because many stories I've heard, you find that the mothers find out at birth. But I feel we can make a change in that area and improve our newborn screening. And I'll just finish off by Luke 14. Just don't invite when you throw a banquet, don't just invite your rich neighbors and friends so that they repay you by inviting them for your events. Invite the poor, the crippled, those who are by the roadside, and the Lord will justly repay you on the day of judgment.
Amen to that. Edwin?
I'd like to encourage all the parents out there. You guys should stand out for your families. Everyone should be responsible. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the policy. The government should step in, subsidize most of the medical bills for kids living with special needs. Thank you.
Asanteni Sana. And of course, Grace, even as we close briefly, now that you were cut off due to your network.
Right. I just wanted to say that I applaud the couples, and I want to say that every child has a purpose. They have a full value, regardless of how they look and what they have to live with.
Oh, wow, Grace, we really appreciate you for making it to come on this show. We literally had to call her last minute to join us in as our previous psychologist fell ill in the night. So we thank you for coming through, even if you are struggling with a connection issue. Again, thank you to all, Alice, George, Edwin, and of course, Esther, for being candid about your journeys and also encouraging others out there who are walking in your shoes and also putting the systems in place to task, because something needs to be done to make it a little bit easier for those living with this reality.